And what's the difference between Nottingham and Windsor? Well, quite a lot, you might think. They've both got a castle, but the similarities end there. Now, Nottingham City Council says the most important difference is a matter of £143. That's how much more money per head it's losing in government funding compared with wealthy Windsor. And it's been running a campaign highlighting the issue. Well, we sent our political editor John Hess down south to investigate.
Nobody likes to be a loser, but this poster in Nottingham and on sites around the city claims its people are losing out big time. It's a hard-hitting political message from Nottingham's Labour leadership.
Well, you can work out the maths. The poster is suggesting that each citizen in Nottingham is being shortchanged by £143 when you compare the scale of government cuts in this city to those imposed on Tory-controlled Windsor. So how come?
Well, Windsor was a comparator. As I say, we could have picked a number of other authorities, but at the end of the day, it was about trying to pick another unitary authority responsible for all services, but actually was getting a much better deal than we were.
So is that criticism fair? I've come to Windsor, or to give it its official name, the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, to find out.
Its Conservative leader, David Burbidge, carries a plan. His politics were shaped by his Leicestershire upbringing. Together with his finance chief and deputy leader, Simon Dudley, they've transformed their royal borough into a Tory model council.
Now is we're looking to add on a new library facility on the side for the local people.
They took control from the Lib Dems in 2007. Their bigger plan is to show that services can be improved while council tax is cut. So how did they react to Nottingham's poster politics?
Nottingham's complaints about losing more money, you look at it in the round of a Premiership footballer saying that he's losing more money than maybe a First Division footballer. You know, we're just not comparing like with like. They start off with more to begin with.
Compared with, say, Nottingham, our Band D council tax is £250 cheaper in the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead than it is in Nottingham. Now, that's a lot of money for residents.
There does appear to be a lot of money around. The borough, 21 miles west of London, has half the population of Nottingham. It has a sense of affluence, but also much bigger housing costs too.
We're not the poorest borough in the land, but we do have pockets of deprivation. We do have a lot of services to provide, and we get very little money from central government to help us out.
Take council tax, it's going up again in Nottingham, but here in Windsor there's to be a 3% cut from April. There's been a year-on-year reduction. In fact, since 2010, council tax is now 11.6% less, and that means for an average Band D house, that means an annual saving of getting on for £91.
I mean, we don't carry overheads like trades union officials, which I know Nottingham, who had those posters, have got 27 full-timers.
No, we do not cut frontline services. In fact, we invest in them. But there's a myriad of different things that we have done locally to reduce council tax. But we no longer have a chief executive. Nottingham, no disrespect to the individual, but I see that, including pension benefits, that's about £220,000.
Could some of that thinking flow easily from the Thames towards the Trent?
We've made something like £120 million worth of savings over the last 3 to 4 years. Much of that has been about efficiency, and when you look at the list of suggested ways of running local government efficiently that the government produced only recently, we were doing pretty much all of them.
In Windsor, they don't go in for poster politics. Back in Nottingham, this poster is being replaced by another. Labour's next target is the government's benefit changes.
Well, Chris, this campaign has cost Nottingham taxpayers £3,000. This is a council that's complaining it hasn't got enough money, yet it's got enough money to spend on this campaign.
Well, look, the government is being grotesquely unfair to authorities like Nottingham, and indeed many authorities throughout the Midlands and the north, and authorities in the south of the country that have the greatest levels of need and deprivation. And it's very clear that we're seeing a kind of naked politicisation, frankly, of the distribution of funding by central government, because it seems that those areas which are predominantly Conservative controlled have been given a far better deal than places like Nottingham. And let's remember, when you're looking at Nottingham and comparing it to Windsor, the degree of unemployment, of deprivation, of child protection issues, and a range of other very difficult problems that Nottingham has to
So you're saying it's not a fair comparison?
It's not an unfair comparison, no, because what the point they're making is that the needs in Nottingham are considerably greater than they are in Windsor, and yet Nottingham is getting a far bigger funding reduction than Windsor and Maidenhead is.
Except it isn't. Because what your film hasn't said, and what Chris hasn't said, is that Nottingham, next year per dwelling from the government, will receive 2,200 and something or other pounds. And in Windsor, they'll receive 1,500 and something pounds. And the reduction in Windsor is considerably more than the reduction in Nottingham, which is less than 1%.
So you're saying that all these figures are wrong, that they've come up
No,
with?
I've got the right figures here.
Yes, but you're saying the figures that we've got here from...
I don't know where they've got that, because they also work it out, and you'll have noticed from the poster, per person. And the government, as Chris knows, under a formula established, which both governments have used.
Nottingham surely has got more services to provide and more vulnerable people on benefits.
But the point is that that's why Nottingham is getting so much more money than Windsor per dwelling.
Well, this research, just to let you know, because
£700 per dwelling more.
You want to know where these figures have come from. This research has been done by Newcastle City Council, and they've been looking at central government funding for core cities, which include Nottingham, obviously.
Dividing it by
new
the head
homes
of the population.
bonus, council tax freeze, and then they say the combination of all of those favour the south.
No, but it's not.
That's where it comes from.
No, but it's not. What it isn't is one looking at how we actually pay out the money, which is per dwelling, and then not looking at actually what the government is doing, and the government is giving each dwelling in Nottingham £700 more. And Nottingham should be ashamed of itself. It's an outrageous waste of money.
It's interesting, Anna, that Anna
with
here
Derby.
How
much is Derby getting?
Anna is an MP from Nottinghamshire who seems quite happy to allow Nottingham citizens to get a less good deal than people in the south. It isn't. It's a better deal. That's the whole point.
Well, I'm sorry. I don't know how you can
argue it is a better deal when the cuts in places like Nottingham are considerably greater than they are in more affluent parts of the country. And when George Osborne and David Cameron and probably Anna says we're all in it together, it's a very odd definition when the people who are bearing the biggest burden are the poorest people in our nation. It is absolutely true.
What do you say about Anna's figures then?
My figures are wrong, are they? These are the proper figures, Chris.
The government like to talk about per household because it makes it look better.
No, that's the way that you calculate it.
No, they've changed the way they calculate it for that very purpose. They've introduced this new spending power thing. But look, when you also compare this, though, with not only are they making these cuts to the support that Nottingham City Council receives, there
are more cuts to come, aren't there, Anna?
There are more cuts to come, and they're cutting the council tax benefit support system.
Let's just make one thing absolutely clear. For every £8 that this government has cut in public spending, your government would have cut £7. So you will restore all these cuts, will you?
So says Anna Soubry.
No, so says your front bench.
So says Anna Soubry.
No,
look, the fact you can't argue with the fact.
So will you restore these cuts?
You can't argue with the fact, Anna, that the way your government is divvying up the funding from central government to local authorities is actually hurting Nottingham and places
And
like
will you
Derby
restore the
far more
cuts?
severely.
Will Labour restore the cuts, Chris?
Quick answer?
We will actually make sure that we will distribute the funds on a fair basis.
Labour will cut.
And we'll publish our manifesto when the general election is called.
OK, we'll look forward to reading that.